Okay,
And
then. We are live. Alrighty then. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another team bonus action, bonus roundtable. That I am the host for this one, Ninja Spence. And today that we are going to be talking about portraying characters, drone characters versus printed minis. Now, who do we have on the panel tonight?
Hi, my name's Emily Erie, and I'm just happy to be included in tonight's conversation.
Nice, nice. Welcome, Emily. Thank you for joining us. And then who else do we have?
it's Nox.
Hey,
So
Knox. All right, then.
resident
So
resident
then,
reprobate.
yep. Oh, oh yeah. So anyway, then let's just go ahead and then get started with just the first question. That what had got each of you started in basically either drawing characters, mini painting, or both? I will let both of y'all go first.
Um, I draw a horrible stick figure, so I don't. So as far as I don't draw. I'm horrible at it. Um, but as far as for me, it was just painting. I got into that randomly. Um, it had always been up for like different crafts and stuff like that, and trying new things, and
Uh,
especially when it comes to gaming, trying new things. Uh, and flipping through YouTube one day, and came across uh, a girl on YouTube, woman on YouTube, that her channel is War Gamer Girl, and she plays War Machine and Horde. She actually got started in minis by playing Warhammer 40K, which for that I 100 salute because my wife won't let me look at that stuff. It's expensive. Um, but she then transitioned into War Machine and Hordes. And War Machine and Hordes is technically two separate games, but you can play them against each other. But you can play them intertwined. Um, and at the time, as Emily can attest, I was deeply and heavily into steampunk. Um, and War Machines is big, giant, steam powered, magical infused mechs. And combat troops. And it's a small skirmish style tabletop war game. Unlike Warhammer or Warhammer 40K or things of that nature, instead of having this huge, massive army that costs more than my car, your army can be you can spend a grand total of about $250 over the course of some time and have massive flexibility in the amount of different armies. So that appealed to me, and as with most mass produced tabletop war games, the pieces come painted. Uh, so I got myself just a bare bones set of paints, a couple of specialty colors, and sat down and said, I'm gonna see about playing with this for about an hour or so. And 6 hours later, I had like 5 minis painted, and I was like, wow, that's dangerous. I need to do that some more. So that's where it started. That's where the actual started, finding and
nice.
wanting to try something new. And then once we started getting more heavy into D&D 5e, the local shops have the walls of the new WizKids uh, D&D minis, the unpainted ones. Uh, so that easily and completely just transitioned to moving into that, and getting that.
Oh, nice. Very nice, Knox. And you, Emily?
So, So for a long time, I honestly just used dress up games, like online dress up games, to portray my characters. There's some really great ones on like Doll Divine and Azalea Dolls. Um, but that was because I was broke and couldn't afford to pay my super talented friends to draw my characters and everything. Um, but I've recently started getting into like 3D printing and creating our own figurines. My husband got a resin 3D printer this past Christmas and he's been experimenting with it. And it's really fun going into a site like Hero Forge and designing your character to your specifications. We haven't started like painting anything yet. I think that's definitely going to be the next step forward. But I'm realizing that even as amazing the customization options are in Hero Forge, there are certain things that they don't have. Like
Hmm.
we play in a Starfinder campaign, and
Mm-hmm.
I play a Lashunta character, but Hero Forge doesn't have a an option for antenna on the foreheads. Like they have eye stalks, but they don't have like forehead antennae, like bug like things in that respect. So we have my character designed in Hero Forge and we're going to print it up. And then I'm probably going to customize it with paper clips and just like glue paper clips to her forehead and then paint it to look more natural. But that's something you can do with commissioning an artist that you can't necessarily do when you're doing miniatures. Like if no one has figured out how to do what you're looking for on a 3D print model. Like
Mm-hmm.
if you show a picture to an artist or something, like they're much more able to accomplish what you're looking for. But I think that as more people start 3D printing and as games like Starfinder that don't have as much like minis to start with start getting more popular and everything, that those things are going to get fixed or relooked at and everything. So I don't think it's like a long term problem. It's just in the short term, like, ah, dang, how am I going to do these antennas? Let's figure this out.
Oh yeah, then that is a bit of a issue as well with some of the cosplay stuff. Just like how in the world am I gonna do this buckle or something? But it appears that that we just have a extra person on that the panel. Would you please introduce yourself?
Yep, I think he's just here. I think he's just here to listen in.
Oh, okay then. Okay then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
Yeah.
Cannon. I'm just kind of popping in to listen to what's going on.
Okay. Okay, then if that's fair, then you can listen. That's fine. All right, then. So a little bit about myself for that Emily and Knox, that I'm pretty much just basically the mix of both worlds because I can draw characters and then I have dabbled up in painting minis before. Whenever that the 3D printing first got around, I had got a $200 FMD printer, and then I used and then at the time that I would just print just minis, because this was actually whenever I first got started into doing tabletop RPGs, just mainly D&D 5th edition. And it and then it was just, I just got hooked to it in a sense, because it is kind of like mesmerizing to like be relaxing and such. However, then that I was living with my parents at the time, and then that since that I don't have a place of my own, in the sense that I don't want to damage up any of the apartment walls or anything with just painting. So I just go to that the next best option, which is for me currently, is to draw, because that there is a that now then that I always like to joke around and say, whenever that we used to have in-person games, is that I am the worst DM ever. I apologize, because that I have unpainted minis. I use unpainted minis. But
You
anyway,
show me
then
some.
that oh, go
You
on.
show me
Sorry.
someone. You show me someone who has all of their minis painted, and I will show you a psychopath.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God, that's just a lot of time of just I mean, either that you are on vacation, or else that you are just crazy to just be painting just day in and day out. But anyway, then that the next question, it is actually might be a very interesting one. Which one shows off the character more and why? Is it that the miniature, that the physical miniature does, or else is it that the artistic rendition? And then let's just start off with Emily this time.
Well, I think that, like I said before, sorry, technical issues. Like I said, it's way easier to customize a piece of artwork right now than it is to make a 3D model just with technology where it's at. But at the same time, there is really something to be said about being able to hold a miniature in your hand and move it across your board. Like, it feels like it takes up more space and it really helps with immersion. And honestly, I think the best of both worlds is to get art done of your character and also try to make your mini like as close to your character as possible. Because there's really no like there's no getting around the feel of having like a physical piece of plastic that you're moving across the board, especially if your DM is super extra and has like trees and gravel and like the whole setup and everything just to get lost in the world.
Right, right. I can agree with that. I mean, then that they also do have like I know that like 3D, I know that 3D modeling has been became just more just relevant because of 3D, just because of like 3D printing, and then that people have actually used like Blender even to basically like create their character. So then I can definitely see that point of view. What about yourself, Knox?
I mean, it's two mediums that, I mean, especially right now, the way that a lot of people are playing the it's it if you're somebody that's playing more online, like on a Roll20 or virtual tabletop or something like that, then the art piece is your character token. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Um, if you're in game, if you're in person, having that personalized custom piece, it lends more credence to this is me in the. It lends more credence to it lends to the immersion that you feel. And there's also something to be said, like Emily said about it, DMs that go that extra mile and have the terrain and everything else, like somebody that we like, Hewitt, who is amazing at terrain and everything else to play in one of his in-person games is phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
And it increases it also adds another layer to the game, because it's one thing to say, all right, you're 40 feet away, your character's 40 feet away from this bandit. Okay, but if you're physically seeing a bandit model, and then 6-7 squares away you have your model, it lends a little bit more immersion to it, where it brings you a little bit closer in, and a lot of times in my can and will also lend itself to sometimes a little bit more seriousness, especially when it comes to combat. Uh, I have noticed, especially with my home group of psychopaths, that you put them in a role play situation, and things will go crazy. Battle starts, and the minis come out, and the minis go down, and that's when you get people who the biggest shenanigans characters then become a little bit more serious, and then the serious characters become more laser focused on, okay, where am I, where are they, what can I do, how far is that. It brings a little bit more gravitas to it. So, and it's speaking to the 3D printing aspect, I have a 3D printer. It's brand new. I used it like 3 times before before something happened, and I had to replace a piece before I can get back to it. So I haven't
Mm-hmm.
had really had a chance to actually get into mini yet. There's a couple other prop things that I've worked on, that I've printed out to varying degrees of success. Because I'm not proficient uh, in fine tuning my machine, but that'll come. Once that comes, that's kind of the reason why I haven't tried any, because I want I want to know what I'm doing before I try what's probably going to end up being one of the foundation things that I'm going to, which is going, um and being able to, and like Emily said, like going on a site like Hero Forge that has a lot of options,
Mm-hmm.
but more times than not, they have a lot of options except the one feature that you want, that you want your character to have. And having to piecemeal something together, or even, like she said, go back in and modify a model after it's printed. Um, it's another level of creativity, and it's something that we have had that we have a lot of experience with, is in the, okay, it's time to make it work.
All right, very nice, very nice. And then that just for just me, just for the to try to like defend a little bit about that the drawn piece that I understand 100% completely with just the physical mini just being there, and then especially especially for whenever we would run games at the shop, if that you just see your DM with just like uh just like cases of minis and stuff, you know that it is going to be a serious battle night or so. And then that the immaculate detail from just that the painting of just that the physical character just be just it just shows that handcrafted je ne sais quoi, so to speak. But at that the but but also at that the same time, that a drone piece of a character can tell a story. It can basically be like one unique situation where like I am just going to use this piece, that that the story for like that the for just at the sake of it, for the sake of visualization. But that up in just our past monster of the week game, to where that like my character Desiree and Sybil, we were doing basically like some big magic to freeze up the water, so that so that the baby Cthulhu fish would not destroy the park. And then that just seeing, just if somebody will if not if that somebody was to draw that, I would probably also envision them probably adding in like Samedi taking away Desiree, because that if that you had listened to Ticket to Hide, I did not have a lot of luck. And then if that was part of my dark bargain as playing as the spooky. Oh, that's a fun game. That was such a fun game. But anyway, then that more on that this question will be more for like that the minis question for that the panel. Uh what was your first and favorite mini that you have ever painted? And then that how long did it kind of take you to make this your masterpiece?
Uh, for me, um, it's a War Machine mini. The In War Machine, there is a faction called Kador. Kador is essentially a Russian uh, analog. They're from the north. Their colors are red. It's a big, real big uh, Soviet Russian vibe to them, aesthetically. And one of the pieces is, I can't remember his title, but it's Joseph Grigorovich, and he's a big dude with a beard. He's got a flintlock flintlock pistol in one hand, and he's basically an orator. He'll his job is to go out and inspire the troop. And this model came out so good. Um, just in general, that I'm supremely proud of that. And the other thing, or is my pair of Warjacks. Um, is the first time that I had attempted and successfully uh, layered uh, layered the colors in a way that created true highlights,
Hmm.
and that the dry brushing actually that not my I wasn't too heavy handed on dry brushing, so that it actually did just pick up very light details, and it was amazing. Those three models are my favorite, and I still haven't had a chance to actually go in and use them, but I'm working on stuff so that I can use them in a D&D.
Nice, nice. All right, and then for you, Emily.
So I've never actually painted a mini before. Um, but I've been playing the same character in our Dresden Files game for like, oh god, 3.5 years now. It's been a while, and I'm planning on commissioning a piece of artwork of my character and my friends' characters in that game for Christmas this year, or for my friend Christina's birthday this year. But if either of them are listening, shh, you don't know this.
You
This
did
is
it.
a surprise.
All I'm saying is that the Ruguru needs to be in the background. That's all I'm saying.
Right. Right. And then that is actually a good just segue up into that the next question, and then that, well, then that before we do that, I guess then I guess I would give my answer. It wasn't like necessarily like a character or anything, but I remember that I had a 3D printed these fire snakes, and then I basically printed off like about, I think, four of them, and then I was still kind of sort of still brand new to painting, so I kind of basically primed them first like you always do. Then I did a wet brush, and then I had never really knew about dry brushing, so it was kind of like a damp brushing, if that's a term, and then that they had turned out pretty well. Actually, I am still impressed with them, and then I still have them. And then I remember that I had also took my took my camera, and then I had put on my macro lens. And then I just took a picture of them, which then that, not gonna lie, macro photography and minis are amazing to do. Oh, if you are a miniature painter, please just try to get into some macro photography so that you can just get into the nitty gritty of those details of just your minis. But anyway, then that Emily did bring up a good point. So, have you ever commissioned a set of character minis, or else character art for your table? And if so, what characters?
I haven't commissioned anything for any of my characters.
Mm-hmm.
I do have our illustrious Luxol CV has has offered to asked if anybody wanted us to, because she was practicing on her digital art,
Mm-hmm.
and wanted to know if anybody wanted to do something with their characters for our Lost Seas game. And I absolutely jumped at the chance to have Avi the Rat uh, done up, and the picture that she ended up uh, drawing was our whole crew basically lounging on a beach, and town currently that we're currently paused in, and it came out glorious, and he came out exactly the way I wanted him to. I think it's still somewhere in the Discord. Uh, it is. It's awesome, and I don't think I could have asked for anything better.
Nice, nice. And yourself, Emily?
I've commissioned a few pieces here and there. I actually have a friend who just commissioned a piece for his Besk soldier in our Starfinder campaign, and he loved it so much that now the rest of us are getting art pieces done by the same artist so that there can be like corresponding art pieces of our whole like murder hobo crew in space.
Oh wow, that that is always amazing that whenever that you can find a talented artist that is willing to do the whole party, so that way then it's just not a mismatch of styles. So for myself, that I remember whenever that I was running Stefan Carcass for the first time, I had got I had got I had actually got two pieces commissioned because that I had thought that the game was going to go all the way to level 20, then that they had made it to like ninth level. I remember commissioning our champion fighter, that her name was Navara, and then that she was a wood elf fighter, and then that the other character was a tabaxi pugilist, Chunt Buntley, and then that it was a local artist here in town. Then it wasn't that expensive as far as in pricing goes, but that she had completely nailed the look of the characters and such, and then that I had even got a commission of my own for just like a one shot character of just that my Triton Shadow Sorceress Shadow Monk.
Nice.
Yeah, that was a weird combination, but then it had worked out in the favor because that I guess that you because that you had Shadow Step and then cast spells. That was just a fun character to play for, even though that it was a one shot. All right, then let's see here. Uh, I'm just going through my notes. Okay. All right, then. So, what would be your dream mini and or art piece that you would have for just anything you would?
Uh, hmm, that's a good one. Um, for me, it would probably be a. It honestly end up being a. Uh, I've had my home group has gone through one homebrew campaign. We're in, and we're kind of on a hiatus from Curse of Strahd, and there is a there's possibly a third homebrew campaign that I'm ironing out details in, that we may get started running relatively. I would ultimately, I think what would be really cool is if I could find and have a I heard the story was floating around Facebook a while back of a giant like Last Supper style mural painting that this
Mm-hmm.
one group did. That it's literally all the characters that had been PCs in their campaign. And this was like a 3 or 4 year campaign, and people had come in and gone out and come back and changed characters, and people died, and they rolled new characters and stuff like that. And they literally had one of their members was an artist, and literally drew this big mural of every PC that had been in campaign. And I think something like that would be awesome, and but with enough space to add in for the future. Because I mean, I've got any one of my game groups has 6 to 9 players, so that's a lot. Just in the 3 games that we've got, that's a lot of characters that have gone through. And a lot of them are completely different. One in particular is pretty much is usually kind of the same. Because I've got one player that his goal in life is to play a tabaxi of every class in the game.
Mm,
Uh, every single one of them is from the same. So he has worked his way through rogue, bard, uh, no, rogue, cleric, yeah, bard and barbarian. So having him continue that trend is joint. But to have a mural or a large painting essentially done up of everyone around the table
mm-hmm.
and and essentially their characters clustered behind I think would be awesome. I also think it would be amazing to have that done with our team bonus action with our team bonus action games. Just to have just to have uh, Mulan Bright, the Cynic, the Cynic transmutation wizard, Shadar Kai elf, next to Avi the rat, the rogue thief, and Tarek Stone Soul, the curmudgeon and just complete asshole dwarf death cleric, as well as a couple of the Bangalore, the Hope, the goblin with a shotgun, hanging out around a table, and I think that with all the other characters that have been around, that I think just that would be awesome.
Nice. I can definitely dig those ideas. And Emily.
Well, I'd love to get, like I said, a piece done of our characters from our Dresden game because we've been playing it for a couple of years now, and I love it so much. I'd also like normally when we play games, my husband and I play like very different characters that don't have any like joint backstories or anything, but we play a Pathfinder campaign where we play Azamar. I'm a paladin and he's a cleric, and we're
Mm-hmm.
both like worshippers of the same god, and our relationship is really like vague, and no one knows if we're like brother and sister or if we're a married couple. We're just kind of like always together, like Tweedledee and Tweedledum. And I think it would
Mm-hmm.
be really funny to get like a piece done of our two characters and our matching like robes because we're both lawful good and the rest of the party is some degree of evil and we're just too stupid to pick up on it. Like
Oh.
like we're like the oh sweet baby angels basically. So I think it would be funny to get like a piece done of like our characters with halos like looking all like cute and holy and then the rest of our party just like how the fuck have they not noticed that we're like literally murdering babies in the background, like they just keep rolling really low for like any kind of awareness.
Oh wow. That 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 would probably be. I actually love that character dynamic about basically that that the paladin and just that the cleric are just basically tag teaming because then that they are cut from the same cloth, literally. So yeah, then that sounds like a very good piece. I oh sorry, go on.
Oh no, I just we always joke with the DM that we're actually like the final big bad that the party needs to face. Like in the last battle, we're gonna realize that they're evil and we're gonna be like this whole time and like try to take them out en masse.
Oh wow. Oh man, that'd be so great. That for me that it'll be two pieces. One piece would be like for that the team bonus action groups of that the revenge of Death on Carcass that I would do it myself, but that who knows that I just might end up doing just that a piece, but I do want to try to get something commissioned, just basically about like the pinnacle moment of where like Ari cast Shatter on like Raynor Dome's unmentionables. Let's just say that's why he had earned the name Shatter Shaft Ari. Cause I don't know what it is with about Nate. He likes to aim for that nether region in our games. And then at that, it'd just be a pivotal moment scene to get. Oh man, that uh but then another dream piece that I know that this will probably be about a $500 commission would just have to basically take our monster of the week characters that is from the incognita and just also from that the Lampees games and basically kind of like have them like a Civil War style, kind of like the movie poster Civil War, Captain America Civil War, and basically just kind of like have all of those characters just kind of like face off. So then that'd be like that'd be like Laharl, Raymond, my character, Professor Avery LaFay Johnson, Travis, Audrey are facing off up against like Desiree, Sybil, other Sybil, Minfin, Idol, that'd just be so great. Great to have. And then that also just kind of like fading just up in the background would just be like that the two keepers are kind of sort of like a playing card in a sense, with just like the gray flower or else Zeta is being the more sinister of the two, whereas that Hewitt is basically just kind of like that the trickster in a sense. I just think then that'd be an amazing piece to have done.
Yeah, as long as you got Willie sitting in a chair with sitting in a chair drinking a beer, just screaming at everybody stupid.
I can see that now. Oh Lord. Oh man,
What
but
what y'all
oh go
fighting
on.
for?
Oh man, that uh oh man, but yeah, then that anyway. So anyway, then that back on that I think that I got about one more question. And then I would say this. Hmm. Okay. Even though that you haven't like really just painted just a lot of minis and stuff, Emily, how has that experience has worked for you? Is it calming, relaxing? Just tell me about it. That does it just help you as a de-stressor?
Oh, when I said I haven't painted many minis, I mean I haven't painted any minis. Um,
Oh wow.
Yeah,
it's
it's either
fun.
gonna be it is either gonna be the most tedious thing you've ever done in your life, or you will have found your new zen, and there is no gray area.
I like designing them in Hero Forge.
Hey, that technically works because then that because that just that a little bit of a sidebarring here that 3D modeling for like minis and stuff that's pretty interesting because that if you have a strong enough computer, I will recommend that there is a free modeling software you can get and then that it is very tedious, but once whenever you learn it, you will fall in love with it and just start just sculpting minis and stuff. But Hero Forge seems like it's the only forerunner, and then that we are not sponsored by them anyway, that we just really like to use their stuff. And then it's just basically that what what in the world else is Hero Forge missing? Let's just start off with just y'all. What do y'all think that Hero Forge needs? Like that your top three things that Hero Forge can add.
I mean, there's like I said earlier, my biggest issue with Hero Forge is for me. A lot of the character designs that my players have used to try to gone through Hero Forge to get their stuff done. A lot of their stuff you'll find that there's a lot of really cool stuff on there. A lot of times except for the one thing that you were the one thing signature thing that you were thinking that you need. It having or not being or the just simply the modeling not being able to being not being able to put them in the right position. For me it's a lot of small stuff. And I don't I'd love to try to start playing around with modeling software with CAD software to try to get stuff that not just for that but for other 3D printing projects as well. It's just I do not have faith in my ability to learn to learn how to use these programs properly. Uh, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'll give it a try and I'll crash and burn, but and I might be able to get something good out of it. If so, nice. If not, if something that I could at least bring pieces into in order to edit the way that I want them to, just to
Mm-hmm.
change a few small details and stuff like that, um, would be nice. I've had there's a couple of projects that I've tried printing that just simply the shaping of it didn't wasn't conducive to printing. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Now a lot of that's got to do with the fact that I didn't have supports on. Um, but being able to bring something into a program in order to modify the print image so that it sits better on my bed so that I can print it proper or something that I can be able to take a larger print project and cut it in half and place it and cut it exactly in half. That way I can have it print both sides at the time. Uh, at that's something. And I think what Hero Forge is going eventually Hero Forge is going to get to that point. Here because let's face it, Hero Forge has come a long way since the first time I logged on.
Oh yeah.
It, there's so much more nuance that you can do models in the editor, um, that eventually it's going to be able to do anything and everything. It's just a matter of it's just a matter of waiting until they install the assets to do that, and they're always adding new.
Right.
So, speaking of assets, forgive me for this terrible pun, but I've noticed in Hero Forge that if you make a more feminine character that has hips or a booty in any sort of way, that there is a shelf between like the butt and hips and the torso. And I don't know if it's just the way the system is, but it looks like the top half of the model and the bottom half of the model are printed separately and then
It's
just like
because it's
together.
because when you scale up on one particular body part, what's happening is you're kind of breaking the scale of the as a whole into
So
at that
weird.
way at that and it's a
Mm-hmm.
the other thing is it's also a slight optical illusion because you're doing it at the waist. So there's already that natural delineation between top of body bottom of body, and then
Mm-hmm.
you're breaking the scale of you're by adjusting that the way that Hero Forge does it. You're adjusting the whole. If you're trying to give them a donk, you have to adjust the entire pelvis,
I'm not
which
even
is
talking
what
about a
that's.
donk. I just mean like if you don't want a character to look like a twig and you just want them to have like proportions
Some
of any
kind of
size.
Yeah.
It's weird.
curve. I mean
Yep.
Like
that from my experience that I've tried to fiddle around with it, but then that the best I can make them look like is just basically that they don't skip leg day. That's about it.
Yeah, and it's a lot easier it's a lot easier on for a lot of the stuff that I do, because a lot of stuff that I do is a lot of fantasy stuff, and I'm a really big fan of tabards, especially for pretty much every character. I'm a big fan of tabards. So you've got the panel in the front, the panel in the back. Uh, so I mean, I grew up with He-Man, so everybody had loincloth. Everybody had had loincloths. So I guess that's kind of where that. But eventually you'll get to the point where you'll be able to micro scale a lot more quickly to get that shape. And I'm sure if you played around with it enough, there's probably another slider somewhere else that is not even in the menu that you're doing that will correct that. It's just playing around with it and finding it.
Right, right. Because that another thing too is like my thing is that they need to have a lot more armor and other options. I mean that they're that not I mean that they're I mean that that they've gotten better over the years on armor sets, but then that they just need more diverse sets
Hmm.
because it like like it was just like something that I had to create, and then it's just like that this doesn't really give off the vibe of a sorcerer's robe whenever that your robe looks like a heavy sheet of just battle dress material made out of metal. Then I'm like, how does that work as a robe bottom?
Yeah, I find the biggest thing about Hero Forge, I like to say, is they have a whole lot of they have a whole lot of that's almost what I'm looking.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have this, especially when you're doing this, you get this idea in your head on what your character looks like, and you're trying to fit. You're given a box of Legos and going, okay, make what's in your head. And for me, like I said, the biggest thing with Hero Forge is there's a whole lot of that's almost what I want. It's close, but it's not quite what I'm looking. Um, and then you get down to the bases and put things down on the bases, and that's like, okay, I can deal with that. I had that's the experience that I had building my Hobgoblin Samurai Vindo. Is
Hmm.
they had the samurai armor, but they didn't but the helmet didn't look right on. And then I found that there was an option to put the helmet on the base in front of him, and I was like, okay, that'll work. So having to slightly adjust what the model what's on the model versus have versus not being versus it not looking the way you want it to look.
Emily, you got anything else to add?
Oh, not really. I'm looking forward to seeing how the technology develops and like when 3D printers start getting better and better and the online software start getting better and better.
I mean, absolutely. I mean that just I would say that just that basically that the technology is kind of there, but we still have a long way to go at this point. I mean that they just released a under $400 resin printer that I would love to try to get back into 3D printing so that way that I can make my own to make my own minis, or else like commission a 3D artist to make them, because I am more so of a pixel artist and just a 2D artist still. But it's also pretty much that, just as that you and Knox have been saying, that like that the era of 3D printing is just actually helping us GMs make up that these interesting creatures and stuff, just such as like that the mimic gazebo blueprint I saw on Thingiverse. I'm like, mimic gazebo. I can just picture just like some kind of medieval wedding, and then it's basically that the DM is just like, up, it's a mimic. Time to roll for initiative. But yeah, I think then that we are at the 50-minute mark, and then that I think then that's about all of the uh, time that we have, and then I would like to thank Emily and Knox for joining us for just at this topic about like character art versus minis. I just think that the general consensus is that both of them are viable, but minis do have that sort of je ne sais quoi. So hopefully then that the next time whenever we have a strictly minis only topic coming up, that we can have on Nate, and also that the grave flower, so then that that we can get up into that the nitty gritty of mini painting and such like that. So before I go, that if that y'all have anything that y'all want to plug, now is the time to do so. Let's start with Emily.
You can follow me on TikTok at Eerie Deary. I make videos about comic books.
All right, Knox.
You should follow Eerie Deary on TikTok and listen to probably one of the smartest people, one of the smartest comic book people that I know.
All right.
Aw, so sweet.
All right, then that you can follow me on Twitch at Twitch .tv slash Ninja Spence. Then I do work on art. You might see me rage at Mario Maker levels, and then I play a lot of Monster Hunter there. But also, then I would also like to plug a brand new Monster of the Week series by yours truly, it should be debuting next week, hopefully, because that we are doing recording this Saturday on it. And basically that I am also still going to plug team bonus action, that you can also catch me DMing on Thursday for the Revenge of Stefan Carcass. We had just got a new we had just got a new party member. Her name is her name is Sataj. She is a wildfire druid, and then that is going to be a very interesting party dynamic with just the world's cutest Aarakocra fighter, Tum Tums. But anyway, then I think then that's about enough time that we have. Thank you guys so much for basically joining us. You can follow Team Bonus Action on Twitter, on Twitch, and then that without further ado, that I will let Knox do our sign off.
Yeah, we appreciate y'all hanging out with us tonight. Until next time, folks, don't let your meatloaf.
Good night, everybody.